Welcome back to Ireland AM. Our next guest has quite the CV with 4 Triple Crowns, 2 Heineken Cups and a Grand Slam under his belt.
Bad going, is it? But he's definitely better known for his fantastic tan and his red jocks. Good morning to Donncha O'Callaghan. Great to have you with us.
Thanks for having me on, guys. Really
welcome back to the mornings. Do you miss the early starts? Obviously, you were with 2FM for so long. Early starts with Donncha and Carl and Darren. Mm-hmm. Tell us, do you miss it?
I miss them, definitely. Yeah. We had a great group, and we kind of Willem and Grace there. So we had a tight group, but you know better than anyone, it is so kind of taxing on your body, getting up, and I'm not just saying it, but performing, presenting takes its toll. So I am glad. I still get up early enough, but not to put my body under stress.
Do you find, because when you're in the thick of it, you don't really think about it too much, you just think you feel tired, but you actually do. Do you feel much better?
Here's one for you, Tommy. I started wearing glasses. So I was there, I went to get my eyes tested, and I was there, my eyes are constantly burning and stuff like that. So I was wearing glasses for ages. And then I stopped doing breakfast, and my eyes are perfect. I was just knackered.
I thought it was just to make you look a bit more intelligent.
No.
Donncha O'Callaghan said, sleep longer, no need of glasses.
Exactly. Just go to bed, you don't need glasses.
Pure blindness. There you go, Donncha.
I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying, from my extreme, it was why are my eyes constantly burning?
I mean, there were no lenses in the glasses.
Yeah, exactly. They're one of those ones.
Was that from all the writing, though? Disaster Dad.
Yeah.
You're an author.
I'm an author, yes, thanks. It's been an enjoyable thing to do. My kids are at kind of different stages, so we were getting to that point where you have routines going to bed, and basically we would read all the other kind of books that we've all read and loved, but my kids always loved, tell us a story, tell us about when you were young, or tell us when you made a dog's dinner or something. So they always got a giggle out of stuff like the red underpants, bringing ducks into meeting rooms, silly things that I've done. And the character, I'll be honest with you.
Sorry, we're going to have to explain some of that. You brought a duck into a meeting room.
Yes, yeah. We were staying with Munster one time, and down the Brafey house, there was a senior players meeting going on at the time with senior management about how we can push on and be better. Yeah. And Jerry Holland, God rest him, made a point that he was making the point that he was really worried that the younger fellas just weren't taking it serious enough. And as he said it, 12 ducks came flying into a room that I had coaxed up with a lot of cornflakes.
Literally, up from the lake, literally, a little bit of cornflakes.
I wanted to put them into John Hayes' room, but there was too many steps up to his room, so I was there. I'm not risking that with the ducks.
Would you mind their little
exactly. The 1% differences, that's what it's all about. I love this, though, because so many dads will appreciate this. Mum is going away for a week and has left a very clear master plan for Dad, Finn and Emma to follow. But the plan gets destroyed and Dad goes rogue.
Yeah.
I mean, it's literally every family, isn't it?
100%. And it's always me, I'm not just saying it, but if Jenny's leaving, I get an itinerary. Tommy's used to, we work off itineraries. Raleigh used to give us one, and you just tick it off as you go along. But Jenny will put down stuff like, you're dropping to Nemo and then you're collecting from the swimming pool. You'll think you've time for a coffee, but you don't. You know what I mean? Get over there as quickly as you can. So, but if I lose that, it's like,
what's going on?
But it is, it's completely fictional in ways, but the central character, Disaster Dad, is 100%.
He looks very familiar.
Doesn't he look handsome?
He looks very familiar.
Fair tan.
He look handsome?
Lovely tan.
Lovely tan.
Did you enjoy it?
Yeah, I did. I was really nervous about it because normally when I do stuff, it's part of a team. So be it rugby or the breakfast show and stuff like that. So kind of standing out on your own. And I don't mind looking silly or, you know what I mean, in front of adults. But if there's kids laughing at you, you know what I mean, then you're in trouble, especially with your own.
Listen, you get a bit of a... Because you're obviously a very funny and entertaining guy, but you're an ultra professional as well. And it's people who are outside of rugby probably don't know that as well. And, you know, to put in the work, I'm sure you put a huge amount of work into this as well. Yeah. And, of course, you're involved in the podcast as well. I thought we were getting started with this new podcast. He's turned over a new leaf. He's going to be really professional. He turns up with his backpack on and he pulls out colouring books. And he's literally...
This is Tommy and Donncha's podcast, The Offload, first episode. Number one. Oh, look at number one. Look at those cuties.
Yeah.
Getting you two getting the band back together. An awful lot of people, I think, after the Late Show performance of the two of you were like, when are they going to do something together? What's going to happen?
Good fun.
It is good fun. Yeah, like, I'll be honest with you, Myrne, you build up bonds that you have forever. You know what I mean? Like, there's certain teammates that we would just pick up straight away and you're back in the dressing room and enjoying it. So, yeah, we are enjoying the podcast because both of us love rugby, but we're not nerdy about it. You can be very nerdy about rugby with stats and stuff like that. I think we're good on kind of
having the chats.
Yeah, and just probably the bit of colour that people want to hear, the kind of big rock stuff. So I'm saying it is great fun, but I do think, like the other week, we were nearly fighting. I wanted to go for him.
He wanted to bring back Declan Kidney to the Munster job.
Yes.
And I smiled.
No, you didn't smile, you laughed.
Well, like most people who are listening to the podcast, Donncha.
100%. But Myrne, that's what happened. So in rugby, when he'd do something like that, I had a training session to sort it out. So I would pick him out somewhere and go, okay, I'm going to light up Tommy today. Whereas now I can't bench properly with him, so I'm there like, oh.
Bo, there's been a lot of this week, I hate you, Bo.
Not true.
On the we had Rob Kearney who was like, I hate you, Bo, and you said Denis Leamy hated Bo. No. We think of him as a lovable character.
O'Callaghan said, I hate you, Bo.
Myrne, I promise you, none of us do. Every one of us is thankful for that beauty. I have a Grand Slam medal in my back pocket because his unbelievable work. And he'll be modest about it, but what an incredible teammate.
An incredible teammate.
I remember because I used to have to room with Rob Kearney. We spoke about this the other day, how Rob was...
Nightmare. Absolute nightmare.
So clean, meticulous. You know, if you had a cup of tea and you put the sugar into it and you put the thing back into the bowl again, you'd be mad about it.
Well, how do your teammates, former teammates, because I know that you all meet up at things, you see each other at things. How do they feel? Because the two of you don't mind telling a story. Like you don't mind going, sure, listen, they did this. How do they? Are they like, well, you shouldn't be talking about me?
No, an awful lot of them are the exact same. I don't think we would. It's just situations we've been in. Of course, we don't want to take away or nearly say too much that would probably, you know what I mean, put someone in a vulnerable position. Like the thing, Myrne, for us, and I don't know about you, Tommy, it was very immature. So the pressure is so real. If you look at the All Blacks match this weekend, the Aviva is going to be full. The amount of people viewing around the world, it is massive pressure. And when you come away from it, you just need to kind of nearly have a few releases of immaturity, people acting silly around the place. And to be fair, we were lucky we had a few characters around the room that were capable.
And that's so important. I mean, to have the characters, people who are able to be fully focused on the pitch. But once you step off it, you do need to be able to have a bit of crack. So when a bunch of ducks walk into the change room or into the team room, or God knows what Donncha would have up his sleeve.
I know what to bring you next time, Mark. No, the ducks up here with
What do you reckon? Obviously, the All Blacks are coming to town on Friday. Like, it's going to be a massive game, having the All Blacks knocked us out of the World Cup in the quarter-final. There seems to be that little bit of blood between Johnny Sexton and Ioane with the old book coming out. What are you expecting from the game on Friday night? It's going to be a cracker.
It's going to be an incredible match. And things I didn't know, but we haven't lost in the Aviva in 20 games. So, like, as much as the Aviva gets a bit of a hard time for maybe atmosphere and stuff, it is a right fortress for us. Yeah. I do worry a little bit that we're a bit undercooked. I look at the All Blacks, they played against Japan. They've also played against England last week. We were over playing paddle in Portugal, you know what I mean?
And they're getting very good at the old paddle in Portugal, aren't they?
Yeah, someone who's sitting next to me said, it's very important. I was like, they're going to be playing in the cold. Why are they at this lovely holiday in Portugal where it's going to be warm? He was like, it's very important.
Very important.
Not holiday. That training camp is very important.
Team bonding goes along way.
Did you have that? Like, what do you think is your funniest stuff from back in the day?
Stuff like that, but it was really different, if I'm being completely honest. I'm really grateful at the time we had, because it wasn't as professional. It was that kind of crossover between amateur. But I remember we had a trip to Lanzarote one time, but there was a game of Monopoly used to go on at 6 o'clock. And you'd hear people running to play Monopoly, and all you could hear is the clinking out of gear bags. So there was different bottles in the bag. And I was there, can I play Monopoly? And they were like, I'm a non-drinker. They were like, it's not your type of Monopoly.
I remember how the first tour I went to as well. I went to Spain, and literally we hadn't landed in Lanzarote. We'd gone out to do a football match. We played a massive big football match at a rugby training camp, and then went straight to the pub. And my last memory was being chased down the street by a bouncer with a car aerial. And I don't know what happened the rest of the night.
The way most nights finished.
But you were the collective memory from them all because you were the non-drinker.
Yeah, that was myself and Peter Stringer had a very important role.
He's the one you'd hope would look after you.
Yeah. Well, that was the thing, getting you back into, like, there's been plenty of times where I've had, maybe not Tommy, but a few of my teammates over my shoulder leaving somewhere like Coppers to get to a recovery session. I don't think that happens anymore.
Tell the story about Leamy on his first cap.
Yeah, Denis Leamy on his first cap, just, we spoke about it on the podcast. Little things you do just for personal entertainment, but it was time for him to go to bed. He had a drink with every one of the squad members, and it was time for us to send him off. And I put him in the exact same room, but one floor below. So he's in 312, I put him in 212, and God love the couple that were staying that night. They came back and saw this giant ogre on their bed with Leamy convinced it's his room. He's like, get out of my room.
He got you back though one night in Cork, didn't he?
Yeah, he did, to be fair to him. But it was just all the kind of stuff. He came in once we were getting dinner, enjoying ourselves, and Dennis came in late. So normally if you come in late, you have to buy the first drink for whatever it is. And Leamy was no problem buying the drinks, giggling away to himself, thought it was priceless. And we were like, what's going on? What's so funny? He was, I'll tell you in a few minutes. Eventually 10 minutes passed, and I was like, okay, what's so funny? He was like, Donners, they're clamping your car outside there.
Very good. Disaster, Dad. I can't wait till the stories go to the rugby matches as well. But listen, it's full of really laugh out loud moments
it's a bit
that
of fun.
The kids are going to absolutely love.
Yeah,
and you are travelling all over the country. You're top of the book charts as well. That's absolutely amazing. Good on you.
And I'm going to give the plug top of the podcast charts because it is incredibly enjoyable. The Offload with Tommy Bowe and Donncha O'Callaghan. I think their first piece of merch should be red underwear, and they should have to model them. Please make that happen.
Not again.
More red underwear. Let's